Let's dive into it. How is the mindset? Last year, pretty similar start. I think this isn't a new feeling after week one, trying to figure some things out. How are you here on this Tuesday? Have you moved past the Vikings game already?
Well, yeah, Pat, you got to. It's Tuesday already. We're already in our next preparation. That's the beauty and the curse sometimes of our sport. You know, it's fun to reminisce and stew over a big-time win where you ball out and have a great performance. And it's nice sometimes to be able to move past a disappointing loss in the first game of the year. Now, like I said after the game, you know, definitely an improvement over last year. We scored 7 as opposed to 3. So,
hell yeah.
A lot of things to build on. But that game was, you know, a couple plays from being really tight. And that's the beauty of the NFL and the frustrating part. You know, we had a chance in the first play of the game to have a 75-yard touchdown. We had a chance on the goal line a couple different times to punch it in and score. And, you know, the game would have looked a lot different, obviously. And that's that game you don't like playing, but coaches like it because you got a lot to correct on Monday.
I could imagine.
Hey, what was it like? What was their defense doing? I guess that I guess may have frustrated you guys, or at least they seemed like they were covering everybody and they were getting a ton of pressure on you. Is that just normal Vikings D?
Well, they got a good front, obviously, with Z and Hunter. You know, they got 2 premier pass rushers, and they got some good push up the middle. They played some different coverage in the back end. Harrison was really flying around on my eyes, and there were some things we just didn't expect. Leverages mostly, I think, on the slot for a lot of different plays. There were some guys you know, left open at times that we got to. Some we couldn't get to. Comes to the pressure. But overall, you know, they played pretty solid. They didn't bring a lot of pressure. They think pressured, you know, maybe 2 or 3 times the entire game. So they played a lot of shell coverage, a little bit of one high here and there sprinkled in, but a lot of quarter half stuff and stuff that we expected to see. We've seen from our own defense in practice. But when you got a good pass rush and you can cover on the back end, that's a good recipe for shutting the team down.
Going into the game, you know that Bach and Jenkins aren't going to play? Or is that kind of game time decision and takes you off guard there? Because how do you know they have a good pass rush and you're without now Bach for a season now at this point, all-pro guy. I mean, that's going to be difficult to replace regardless, let alone who knows when he's going to be back. Do you know going into the game that's the case? Going into the week that's the case? And can that ever enter your mind? How do you block that out?
Well, like most of the time we know by Friday if a guy's going to play or not. There's certain players, and I kind of fall in that category, that can not practice all week and then play on Sunday, and you expect them to be out there and playing well. Every now and then a guy won't practice and maybe do some stuff on Saturday and go out and play, but for the most part, if a guy doesn't practice during the week and definitely practice on Friday, there's not a high expectation of them playing. So we had a pretty good idea that both Elton and Dave weren't going to play starting the week, but you know, they had a chance to get out there and see how they felt, and they weren't ready to go. And Allen pushed it hard to come back, and just wasn't ready either. So, you know, down those 3 didn't help, but I felt like the line overall played pretty good up front. We ran the ball really well. We just didn't get enough attempts. I think we had 18 attempts for over 100 yards. Just got to find ways to keep getting the ball to 28 and 33 more. But look, it's a good learning experience for us. You hate it for that to happen in an L. Learning experiences and wins are a lot more fun, but you know, I'm sure there's overreaction. Monday, the first Monday of the whole football season, you know, after the games have happened, it's, I'm sure, a really fun time for all media types because you can write a team off, you can crown a team, you can make, you know, some wide sweeping decisions about certain teams or players or sides of the ball. And, you know, we're just getting back to work and hoping to put a little better product on the field this Sunday.
Now, I don't know if it's been since the ayahuasca trip a few years back that made you change your mindset about football and life as a whole. You seem to be very comfortable, confident, and content in what this team is going to become. You said that after the game, you're like growing pains and everything like that. Young squad around you. We saw that literally on the first play. You already referenced it. I mean, hey, that was
bucket.
In a bucket with a brand new guy on a go route. What do you say to him since the game has happened? Because you're going to need him, right? I mean, you're going to need him, and it feels like you are very comfortable with where all these guys are in their development and what next week's going to look like.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say to Christian after that one. That was obviously a great route by him. And I was teasing Pat P after the game how we got him on the first play, and he said, "I wasn't quite warmed up yet." You know, I like the call. We talked about it basically from Thursday on, starting the game with that play. And, in so many words, unless the coverage was something else, I expected the ball to go to Christian. And so we talked about that and the type of route he wanted to run, and the fact that he could score on his first play as a Packer. So there's a lot of things that kind of lined up there really nice. But look, there's not much to say there. Drops are going to happen. They suck more when it would have been a walk-in touchdown. But the ones that are most frustrating are the mental mistakes, and we made way too many of those on Sunday, and that's what we got to clean up. There's going to be drops. You hope not for a touchdown again, or at least not a bomb touchdown. But it's the mental mistakes we really got to clear up. There was a lot from a lot of people, and
what do you mean?
Can
you give examples for people that don't know what that means?
And is this what you were motherfucking about on the bench?
Yeah, give Tom a break.
Probably, yeah. Okay. Probably.
They were zoomed in real tight. I heard. I could hear a couple of the words. It felt like, but there was a lot of this, and it was fucking every time. This is that what you're talking about? Is that the frustrating thing? And what are some of those things, if you could expand upon?
Well, I think it goes into the why, which is the most important thing in football and often in life, is understanding the why.
Here we go.
So we have a play, right? And you install it and you talk about it. That's paper football, right? To go into it, the next level before you get onto the field is the understand the concept of why. What are we trying to accomplish with this play, and how does that affect my specific role on that play? That is the why part. Why we're running this play. So it might be because of certain coverage, it might be because of a certain matchup, it might be because of a certain adjustment you're expected to run on a certain play. That's what we just need to clean up a little bit. Just the why parts. We can't have a bunch of robotic things going on out there. We need guys who are able to react in real time and to make adjustments on the fly. And some of that is experience for sure, and some of that is in the preparation. It's not just understanding what you need to do, but why you need to do what you're doing, and then what to expect, which will change what is drawn on the paper to what actually needs to show up in live time in the game. So, again, that's why we have to have patience. A lot of these guys have not played a ton of football, and really it's not something that could have been figured out in training camp or some off-season throwing session. These are live rep things with the pressure of a regular season game, with the pressure of it counting, that they have mistakes they have to make. And there's things that have happened in practice that we've corrected. But it all comes down to, in the moment, can we make the right adjustment? Can we think quickly but have a slow mind? Can we play fast but be under control? And that's why I'm not too worried about it. There's a lot of talent on our side of the ball. We just got to execute a little bit better. If 10 guys are doing it right on one play, sometimes it's that one person who screws it up, and it could be me. That could totally ruin a play.
Hey, you mentioned that, though. Could you have gotten any of that experience in the preseason? I know you mentioned regular season because you knew that question was probably coming, or they already asked you in the locker room. But if you would have got some reps in the preseason, would that have helped? I would assume that's what they're asking you.
Look, a lot of this stuff is team specific. It's look specific. It's against first team players who are running intricate schemes. The preseason is a lot of one high man and one high zone and two high man. It's very basic coverages. There's very few pressures. Most coaches will talk to each other during the week before the lead up of the game and ask for certain things or ask not for certain things, or say who's playing or who's not playing, and are you going to bring any pressure or not pressure. And for the most part, there's very few real football scenarios that happen that you can't get outside of a practice. The only thing is that there's more people watching those preseason games. Other than that, the practice reps are the most important because you're going against the number one defense when it's the ones-on-ones, and they're playing intricate coverages and schemes and trying things, and you have to react in real time. So those are the most important reps. The preseason is just to see if anything changes when the lights go on for certain players, but that's why I said we're going to be a work in progress. I said it before the season. I said it after the game. We have to have patience with these guys, all the guys, not just the young players, but all the guys, because there's an adjustment with the way things were doing.
Bill Belichick actually said, preseason games, nobody's showing anybody shit. He actually said it like last week. He said, nobody's showing anybody anything. All the cards are on the table week one. The cards, it seemed like that the Vikings were putting on the table were fucking good. And I know you've been in the NFC North for a long time, and the Vikings have looked at the Green Bay Packers for a long time as the team that's gotten in their way. They probably had a couple good squads that could have won on runs, but the big bad wolf was in the NFC North in that frozen Dahn in Wisconsin, which is you.
Yeah.